Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Today I want to talk about 10 assets that I've been really researching lately that will make you very, very, very rich. So obviously most people tend to focus on financial assets, right? So you want to be thinking about your stocks, your real estate, your bonds, your gold, your cryptocurrency or whatever. And all of these things matter, don't get me wrong. But there's a list of other assets that aren't quite financial that people tend to overlook as they get older. This is going to be a list of things that are going to help you generate millions of dollars, and also a list of things that are going to help you maintain those millions of dollars as well. Some of these may not feel like assets in a traditional sense, but I promise you these compound fast and create tons of opportunity. So if you stick around to the end of this video, you'll know exactly where to focus your time and your money. Now with all of that out of the way, let's hop right into the video. So the first thing I want to talk about are commodities. So think things like your gold, silver, wheat, and other precious metals. If you're watching this in 2025, then as of today, as of the time I'm recording, gold has been up year to date by almost 50%. Throughout all of time, even dating all the way back to biblical days, gold has had a reputation for being a very safe haven for you to keep your money. And I'm here to tell you that it's true. In particular, especially gold, it's a great commodity that hedges against inflation. So that means that when currencies start to lose their values, gold will make sure to maintain the value that you had at the time you bought it. And that's a great pro for sure, but there are some cons associated with this asset class as well. So for starters, commodities don't necessarily produce anything, as they're very speculative by nature. Your gold's just going to be sitting there, your silver's going to be sitting there, your wheat's just going to be sitting in that mill. You kind of get the idea. There's no business powering this asset class, so the only thing that's driving its value is essentially just a mix of supply and demand and speculation. But regardless of that, gold's always going to have a place in my portfolio. Not as large as a lot of other positions I have, but it's also worth holding as a defensive position. If you're just starting out in your wealth building journey, this might not be the best asset class to look into right at the start, but it's definitely worth looking into if you're at a stage in your life where you're looking to maintain what you currently own. The next asset class we're going to be talking about is cash. Look, everybody needs cash in their own portfolio and in their bank accounts. You definitely didn't need to watch this video to understand that. You need money for your monthly expenses, for your emergencies, for opportunities that might be popping along the way. But as far as an asset for building wealth, it's a bit trickier to think about. As I kind of touched upon in gold, cash is like a melting ice cube. Every single year, inflation eats away at it. If inflation runs at 3% on average, if you were to save $10,000 this year, you'd actually only end up saving about $9,700 in real value. You lose $300 of purchasing power. If you had $100,000 saved in a savings account 10 years ago, it would still be $100,000 today. But in terms of purchasing power, that $100,000 is only going to be worth about $74,000 today. That's why you often hear the phrase cash is trash. But fortunately for you and me, cash makes up for this by being the most liquid asset that you can possibly have, and also the most opportunistic asset that you can possibly have as well. But if you're smart, if you budget properly, and you make sure that your cash is organized where you can handle different types of emergencies, it's never a bad idea to hold on to it. The next one I'm going to talk about is a high yield savings account. I will admit I'm kind of cheating because a savings account isn't really an asset in and of itself. But with the examples I was talking about earlier, where if you held $10,000 in a savings account, you would lose $300 of purchasing power throughout the year. If you add that $10,000 into a high yield savings account, maybe something that earns 4% a year, you're able to maintain that purchasing power for most years moving forward. And ideally, this is where you're going to be keeping that emergency fund that I was talking about earlier. You can usually access it immediately if your car breaks down or if you lose your job, and it's earning at least a little bit of something over time. Just bear in mind that this isn't necessarily something that's going to build you a great amount of wealth over time. Even at 5% on a good year, if inflation's down and like the rates are really high, you're only going to be making about 2 to 3% extra on your money. And in bad years, regardless of what the rate might be in your account, you're still going to be losing money over time. It's ideal for this asset class to only manage funds in this account that you plan on using at most within the next year or two. The next asset class we're going to be talking about is real estate. Real estate is absolutely a great asset to have at almost any time throughout all of human history. Firstly, you're able to cash flow from the rent. Your tenant is potentially able to help you pay off the mortgage and hopefully maybe even a little bit extra at the end of every month. Secondly, the house itself appreciates over time. Historically, about 3 or 4% every single year. Third, you get some really nice tax advantages from it as well. In the United States and Canada, you can deduct mortgage interest, property taxes, depreciation, as the tax codes in place love to benefit those real estate investors. And lastly, if you're smart and you're very, very, very careful, you can use this as leverage. You have the potential to control a $500,000 asset with only a $100,000 down payment. As wonderful as real estate is, it's really important to make sure that you're careful with how you're approaching this one. Firstly, it requires significant capital to get started with. You need down payment, closing costs, reserves for repairs, and for vacancies as well. That's tens of thousands of dollars minimum upfront that you gotta pay for. For most of the people watching this, especially if you're just starting out, I'm assuming that you don't have tens of thousands of dollars just sitting in your bank account at the moment. Not yet, at least. Secondly, for real estate, as unintuitive as it might sound, it's not actually passive income like some of the other stuff that we're gonna be talking about later. Even if you hire a property manager, which is likely gonna cost about 8 to 10% of your rent money, you're still the owner. You're still responsible when the roof leaks, when the tenants don't pay, when the market shifts. It requires ongoing attention and constant decisions. Plus, also bear in mind that real estate is very illiquid as well. If you need cash really quickly, you unfortunately just can't sell a bedroom. You have to sell the whole property. It could take months, years in some cases as well. If you need cash really quickly, you can't just sell the bedroom. You have to sell the whole thing, which could take months or years even. Now, don't get me wrong, real estate has made more millionaires than any other asset throughout all of human history, and it's not one that you should ignore. But just bear in mind of the risks involved with it and make sure you approach it cautiously and carefully. Next on the list, we're going to be talking about cryptocurrency. Only Bitcoin in particular though. I've already made a previous video where I talked about why I believe in Bitcoin as an asset class several weeks ago. If you want to check that out, I'll just leave the link over here. But to summarize some of the points from the video I made earlier, it is highly volatile, right? Even though it's gained tremendous value over the past 4 or 5 years, it's still at a stage right now where you can lose like 10 to 20% in a single week if you're not careful. If you plan on holding it for the long term, then obviously these spikes in price isn't going to deter you too much. But as far as liquidity goes, you never know when it's a good time to pull out of it or to put your money into it. So you got to be very careful when approaching this asset class as well. But if you can weather the storm and if you're able to hold on to this asset class for at least 5 or 6 years, the upside for this asset class is astronomically high. We've seen Bitcoin go from being worth less than a penny all the way to being worth over $100,000 in the span of the last 5 years. And even if you think that those gains are behind us now, the potential returns on Bitcoin still dwarf a lot of traditional investments if you're willing to hold on for the long run. And very similar to the stock market, and unlike real estate, you don't actually need that much money to get started. You can just start with $100 saved up. You can buy fractional amounts in Satoshis on your phone. You don't need to go to a bank in order to have the purchase go through. And that accessibility is very important. But due to the speculative nature of crypto, only invest money that you're willing to lose completely. It's essentially a very, very high reward with a medium risk associated to it. I'm strictly just talking about Bitcoin. Even though some of the others have been great, like Ethereum and Solana and some of the other ones, I am just a Bitcoin maximalist on this channel, and I will not be endorsing any of the other ones that are out there. Do your research and understand what you're buying. Next, the classic, we're going to be talking about index funds and ETFs. This, in my opinion, is where the foundation of all wealth building starts. An index fund gives you instant diversification right off the bat. When you buy a share of the S&P, you already own 500 of America's biggest corporations. Think buying a huge slice of America's entire economy. The S&P has a roughly 8% real return rate on average, with some years, if you've held it, especially for the past couple of years, being as high as even 30 or 40%. But more realistically, if you zoom out, it stays at that 8% rate. It's very reliable in the long term, and it's a fantastic way for anybody, regardless of their income levels, to build wealth over time. Hypothetically, if you invested $500 a month from age 25 to 65, by the time you're 65, you'll have about $3 million in your bank account. By contributing roughly $200,000 of your own money, you earn $3 million of compound interest over time. This is the most consistent way that North Americans have been building wealth for the past several decades. And the best part is that if you're a long-term investor, you don't have to worry about timing the market at all. You can just dollar cost average your money every single month over that long time horizon. Index funds won't make you super rich quickly, however. Think of it more like a 20 to 30 year game that you're playing. Along the road as well, though, you're going to have to be somebody that's very consistent, very disciplined, and have strong emotional control to not lose your mind when you see dips here and there. This is the financial bedrock for most people, and everything else builds on top of this one. The next asset class is going to be investing into your own business. Now, at this point in the list, we're going to be talking about things that can truly change your life over time for the better. When you own a business, there's no real cap on your income. When you work a job, you have a salary. Maybe you get raises. Maybe you get bonuses, pay time off, but there's always going to be a ceiling. Your boss decides how much your work is truly worth. The company budget decides what you make. There are no true limits to what you can truly make in business, whether that's $50,000 a year or $5 million a year. It's essentially up to you and the skills that you've built over time, plus a mix of the market that you're currently pursuing. And if you get really good at it, you're building equity over time in your business as well. You're creating an asset. A job pays you for your time, whereas a business pays you and you can sell it for multiples of its earnings. Business is also something that can be passed down to your children as well. But let's be real as well. Most businesses end up failing. The stats say that 50% of businesses fail within the first 5 years or so. It's incredibly risky. Probably the most risky asset on this list, I'd even say. And it's also very stressful as well. There will be months for sure where you don't even know how you'll be making your own payroll. You'll have to work harder than you ever have in your whole life. But for those who do end up succeeding, the rewards are life-changing. Even if your business doesn't make you a millionaire, and trust me, most of them probably won't, the skills you'll learn along the way do become invaluable later on in life. You'll learn about sales, marketing, financials, operations, management. These are also skills that you'll be able to take with you throughout the rest of your life. These skills make you more valuable in every single area of your own life. Next on the list are going to be your own skills and your own education. Your human capital. This is the most overlooked asset on this whole list, in my opinion. People will often spend 1,000+ hours scrolling on social media throughout several months, but will be unwilling to spend 10 hours learning about a new skill that could double their income. Your skills determine your earning power. A software engineer could be easily earning 6 figures, whereas a cashier is only going to be earning about roughly $25,000 a year. A skilled salesperson can earn a couple $100,000 a year, and an unskilled one can earn max about $40,000 a year. Your skills determine what category you're going to be in. This is the only asset on this list that can also not be taken away from you. The stock market can crash and your portfolio can drop 5%. Cryptocurrency can crash and the value of that can drop 50%. There could be a real estate crash and you lose some money. Tenants might not pay you on time. Your business might be losing money over time, but your skills will be with you forever. No human being on planet Earth can repossess your knowledge. If you're in your 20s or your 30s, this is, in my opinion, the number one investment that you should be allotting the appropriate amount of time into. These will definitely be dividends that will pay off for the rest of your life. Let's say you start off earning about $50,000 a year. Let's say you then decide to invest your time into a highly valuable skill. This could be a higher certification within the particular trade that you're practicing. Maybe you learn digital marketing. You get the idea. All these skills can help you either get a promotion or switch jobs while asking for a much higher salary in return. And the thing that's great is that these aren't just one-time returns. A $10,000 raise can pay you every single year for the rest of your life. Over 30 years, those 100 hours that you decided to use to invest into those new skills could end up paying you about $300,000 in total dividends. That's roughly a 150 times return on your investment. If you're unsure where to start, it's never a bad idea to learn about sales and persuasion, communication and public speaking, financial literacy, digital skills, or any sort of coding. Next on the list is going to be your network and your relationships. Your network is your net worth, and I can't stress how true that this one is. Most jobs are unfortunately never publicly posted. Studies show that roughly 70 to 85% of jobs are filled through networking. Most companies just post these jobs because they have to, not necessarily because they want to. They've already decided who they're hiring. And 9 out of 10 times is going to be somebody that the employee referred or someone that they themselves have met. Most business deals also happen through introductions. You don't find your best clients on Google. You yourself will meet them through mutual connections. Someone who trusts you will introduce you to someone who needs what you're offering. My first big break came because somebody who I had helped earlier in my school career remembered who I was when I applied to work for their company. That one relationship that was built over time with no expectation of return changed my entire financial trajectory. Being kind and cooperative to others is also free to build. You don't need capital. You don't need to be born rich. You just need to be genuine, helpful, and consistent along the way. But you do need to invest time and effort though. Go to conferences and events in your industry. Join communities, both online and offline. Reach out to people that you admire. Most people are more accessible than you think they are. Build real relationships though, not transactional ones. When you're networking, don't do it just so that you can get something out of it. Learn to add value and connect with other human beings. Seek out people who are smarter and more successful than you. Not to use them, but to learn from them. And learn how you can add value to the lives of the people that you care about. These opportunities that come from a strong network are worth millions. Business is way more fun when you're doing it with people that you like and respect. And the last and most important one in my opinion is your own personal health. And I know this might seem out of place for a finance channel, but this is genuinely the most important asset that you will ever build. What good is being a millionaire if you're sick? If you don't have the energy to enjoy it? If you're spending it on medical bills and treatments? Beyond just avoiding bankruptcy, your health directly impacts your ability to build wealth in the first place. When you're healthy, you have more energy. You can work more effectively. You can put in the hours to build your business or advance your career. You can think more clearly and make better decisions, and you're more productive in every area of your life. If you're 25 years old and you invest in your health now, with regular exercise, a healthy diet, you manage your stress well, you get good sleep, That gives you 40 to 50 years of high earning potential. Whereas if you neglected your health, you could be totally burned out by the time you're 45 years old. That will cut your wealth building time in half. Your health is the engine that powers everything. And I'm not just talking about physical health either. I'm talking the whole package of physical health, mental health, and your spiritual health as well. Obviously, this physical side is what most people are thinking about, but your mental and your spiritual health are just as important. Meditation, prayer, and mindfulness. These aren't just woo-woo concepts that I'm talking about here. These are the tools that some of the most successful people on planet Earth use daily. Ray Dalio meditates, Oprah meditates, Steve Jobs meditated. These practices will reduce your stress, improve your focus, and help you make way better decisions. Doing these things has helped me personally be way more creative and sleep better. And also with prayer or spiritual practice or whatever you want to call it, it grounds you. Prayer gives you perspective. It reminds you that wealth isn't just about money, and success without peace is just sophisticated suffering. Plus, when you're in good health, you just perform everything way better. Better business, better relationships, and better peace of mind. So make sure that you take care of yourself holistically. This isn't just about living longer. Doing these things will help you both live way longer and live way better. And it will provide you with the energy, the clarity, and the peace of mind for you to enjoy that wealth that you've been accumulating over all these years. So there you have it. I know this was a bit of a longer video, but these are the 10 most important assets, in my opinion, that will help you make $1 million and also maintain your millions of dollars as well. If you found this helpful, hit that like button and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching.